everybody. Welcome to the morning show. We're coming to you today on WJOP-LP Newburyport at FM 96.3 on Channel 9 and on Newburyport Community Media's YouTube channel at ncmhub.org. I'm your host, Mary Jacobsen, and today I'm very happy to let you know we're going to be talking about the upcoming annual PTO kitchen tour and tasting that's coming up on May 11th. We're delighted to have Dolores Person here of William Ravis Real Estate. Dolores, welcome.
Thank you so much, Mary.
Her daughter Rachel is also here. Welcome, Rachel.
Hi, thank you.
And we're also honored to have the co-president of the PTO, Kate Suchecki, and the vice president, Sandra Schwarzkopf, is also here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm happy to have all of you. Well, I thought that we could start off with in the Marvel world, they talk about the origin story of the superheroes. Well, let's start off with the origin story of the Newburyport kitchen tour. Dolores, I know you were a founding sponsor of the tour, so maybe you want to kick off the origin story.
Sure. So the kitchen tour actually started as the Brown School kitchen tour. Rachel was at the Brown School.
Yeah,
She
many
was
years
at
ago.
school, and that was when, if people don't know who are listening, we had neighborhood schools. We didn't have one elementary. So each school had its own little events. And this was a little event that some parents started, and it was really cool. They would make the tour sheets on the photocopier at the Brown School and hand them out. They were black and white and hand-drawn and just kind of, put together. And then at one point I said, well, would you guys like a sponsor? And they said, well, yeah. I said, well, I'll give you some money.
What a great idea.
I'll give you some money if you put me on the cover. They said,
Yeah.
oh, sure. And then years went by, and then when the schools merged, PTO became the sponsor for all of Newburyport.
Okay.
And so
Wonderful.
so that's kind of my history. And Rachel has been doing a lot of photography and videography for the kitchen tours for how many years now?
Last three years? Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So it has a long history, in other words.
It really does. And it was a very different, Newburyport was a very different place in 1986 than it is now.
I've heard tales. I only moved here. I only moved here in 2017, so it was post a lot of Newburyport had been updated, and I've got the impression cleaned up, if that's the right. You're nodding.
Well, Brown School, just what was across the street from the Brown School?
Oh,
We used to go.
what was it called?
Stickney's.
Was it Stickney's?
Stickney's.
Yeah, it was a very different neighborhood at the time. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, it was an interesting place to grow up, but it was really mixed. It was a mixed, socioeconomic backgrounds and people of all walks of life, which I will say I do kind of miss about the old Newburyport.
Well, Rachel, I have heard other people who've lived here for a very long time express the same sentiment, that there are gains, of course, with the kind of
absolutely.
economic development.
Yeah.
And praise be, they saved the historic buildings with urban redevelopment, because we would not be the Newburyport we know and love with its sense of history.
Absolutely.
But I've heard other people talk about there's a certain kind of loss of, well, I guess diversity is a way to put it. So lots of history, but maybe a slight loss in variability, diversity, and kind of a character of certain neighborhoods.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Character.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah. So it has a long history. It's been going strong then for a long time. Let's talk a little bit then about what can people expect to see on the kitchen tour. Obviously kitchens, and in fact, Oliver, while we're talking about what people can expect to see, could you cue up some of the photographs we have and show people some fancy, beautiful kitchens they can salivate over while we talk. So what can people expect to see on this year's tour?
Do you want me to take that one?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is you're talking about the history of it. This is my third year, so I don't know if you started around the same time with your part. So it feels like a drop in the bucket. But even in the last 3 years, I feel like I've seen different things. I feel like things are. I don't think the word is improving, but just getting exciting in different ways.
Evolving.
Exactly. Evolving,
Good word.
inclusive. I think we're thinking of a lot more things that, people didn't have to think about before because that was just the times. But what visitors or attendees can expect. They can expect amazing kitchens. We have a variety of kitchens for just different families. Everybody has different needs when it comes to kitchens. We were actually having a text conversation this morning about a friend of ours who's renovating her kitchens, and I think for me, I am the person who's like, I just need everything at a specific place, and it just has to do it for me. That for other people necessarily is different. But I believe the kitchens we have are amazingly different, and I think they would speak to a lot of different attendees. We also are going to have a wonderful tasting, which involves a variety of vendors. They donate food, beverages, little snacks, and things like that, and we can talk a little bit about that later as well if you'd like. But it is a really exciting event that I think it's become anticipated at this point, and also a treasured event. I think people come from different communities, and there are also a lot of Newburyport residents who are very excited to attend.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure they are, because we walk by, especially the historic homes, which Newburyport is full of, with a certain amount of curiosity about what's going on in there. And I think I remember reading that kitchen renovations are the most popular type of renovation, and they're also will add the most to the value of your home, I think.
Yeah.
And so whatever kitchens people have, there's always, I'm sure, a subgroup of people who are busy trying to figure out how will we renovate our kitchen. And I'm sure you'll pick up ideas and pointers on the kitchen tour, because presumably many of these kitchens have, been renovated since the 1600s, right? Probably renovated how many times, but anyway. So that all sounds like great
That
fun.
would be a fun thing to look at, history of renovation.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Next
Maybe we
door.
can add that.
There's a history and a photograph topic. Well, the archives await you.
Oh, I love it.
Well, you mentioned the tastings, and I would be interested, and I'm sure people would be interested in hearing more about the tastings. Who's coming? I guess I should say, who's cooking?
Okay, I will start, and then you can jump in and remind me if I don't list everybody. So we have a Loretto restaurant. They have been a donor for a long time. Buttermilk Baking Company. I don't want to editorialize every single thing they donated last year, but whenever I open the things and I'm like, I just want to stay here and eat it all.
And it's so pretty.
I know, they do
it
such a
is.
beautiful job.
For sure.
Yeah, they for sure do.
New Kitchen is donating
yes.
Energy Bites. Michael's Harborside. Cookie Jar Kitchen, which
yeah.
is, I don't know if everyone's familiar where they are, but really yummy. Chicoco with their famous whoopie pies. We have beer from Newburyport Brewing Company, and we also have Leary's donating wine.
Okay, you just got everybody in Newburyport excited.
Seriously, this is fun. We actually have Grand Trunk wine. I think that's them. They're donating non-alcoholic wine, so there's something for everybody.
Yay, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, those have gotten better and better.
They're very
They
good.
really have
They're
been.
so expensive though. As someone who doesn't drink, every once in a while I want to buy a bottle and I'm like, $30? It doesn't even have alcohol in it.
And when I see that, I always want to go.
Yeah, thank you.
I always want to ask, but why?
Yeah, exactly. Well, they actually remove the alcohol from the wine,
Yeah,
and I guess
that's true.
that process is very lengthy and difficult. So
Yeah.
who knows?
But we interrupted you in the midst of our
Okay.
excitement.
No, I actually love
You've
that.
you've gotten as far as Grand Trunk.
Grand Trunk, okay. All right, let's see who else we have.
The Cormorant.
Oh, yes, that's a new one this year.
yes.
So we're not sure what they'll be donating yet. We'll be getting in touch with them as well. Coffee Factory, they're going to donate coffee. I think you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've hit all the culinary stars of Newburyport in that list. And will those will the tastings be available at each of the homes, or are there set locations? I assume that. Just explain how that will work.
Absolutely. So what we decide to put them probably this time we're going to do 4 homes.
Yep.
I think last year might have been 4 or 5. Just because it's a process. You want to make sure that there's space for it, that
Yeah.
homeowners are okay with it.
Yeah.
Last year, most of the places, or all of the places that we had, were serving outside, so it had a perfect
yeah,
little
that makes
area
sense.
for it.
Right.
And they are going to, so we have PTO volunteers who will pick it up in the morning, deliver it. We have a process. It's a well-oiled machine. And I feel like, health department, if you're listening. And they provide, I think what we do for they do bites for several hundred attendees.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
So if you go to those 4 places, obviously, early in the morning, actually, I forgot to mention this.
Yeah.
We have 2 phases. So we have an AM food and PM food. So those 4 homes will have AM and PM food, but we won't deliver 100% everything right there. We'll stagger it. So that way, throughout the day, if you didn't go to an earlier house, you might have missed Coffee Factory, but you're not going to miss, I'm guessing, Chicoco.
Right. Okay. Right. Well, that's a really good idea, and having it outside makes sense too, because you can just let your dog out to clean up. At least my dog
Or
would.
PTO volunteer. We will also clean up.
The PTO volunteers can all bring their dogs. So, well, that sounds like great fun, and I'm impressed by the number of vendors that you have lined up. Of course,
So
it's an
wonderful.
opportunity for people to taste their wares and
Yes.
learn about, especially some of the newer establishments. So tell us a little bit about how it's organized, because the homes are located throughout Newburyport, and maybe even somewhat further of Greater Newburyport, I guess. So you have a booklet there. I assume that's
Yeah.
part of it. Just tell it how it's organized.
So yeah, it's a self-guided tour, and inside the tour booklet we have a little map numbering each home location. There are a few homes in one part of town they're all walking distance,
Yeah.
so you can park your car and walk. And then there's some we try to find homes that are in all parts of the city.
Sure.
And so those are what you would drive to. But there's also in the tour booklet identified public restrooms.
Oh, good idea.
And this year we also are highlighting a local business that's next door to William Ravis in the tannery, Riverside Cycle. They
Oh,
have
yes.
bikes to rent that for some people who might want to bike to the different homes, especially in
Brilliant.
the south end. Yeah,
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's great.
yeah.
Okay.
So we're hoping it's a beautiful spring day for all of that. But
Well, we've earned a day without rain,
I know.
think.
We usually have good weather.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
good.
a tradition.
Yes.
It's karma. It's a good karma on the weather. I'm sorry, did I interrupt
Oh,
you?
no, I was
Kate?
just going to say, too, you can drive and park in all of these locations,
Yeah.
too,
Right.
on public
Right, and drive and
parking
park
streets.
and get a bike.
Yeah, or get a bike.
Yes, I love
So,
that.
congrats on how long the kitchen tour has been going on, and some of you have mentioned certain kinds of changes. And I wonder if you want to say a little bit about what are some of the other changes that you've observed over the years. It started out, of course, in the old Brown School days, when having a sponsor was a novel and really welcome idea, and I assume that's changed. So would one of you like to talk a little bit more about, so how many in the beginning, how many now, of course the tastings are new, any other kind of changes that you've observed have happened with the tour?
Well, I would say that the homes have changed dramatically,
Oh.
as has Newburyport. And so,
Yeah.
we had some very primitive kitchens in the beginning, and some of the first period houses that really didn't have kitchens, and they'd be on tour with a basically the keeping room would be the kitchen, and it would just be a big fireplace.
Oh,
And now we
interesting.
have super sophisticated, almost New York style design quality. So
Ah.
the fit and finish has gone through the roof, as it has in
Yeah.
all renovations. So you see things with light fixtures and hardware you've never seen before on the
Wow.
tour now, which is really fascinating. Rach, any thoughts from you?
We have incorporated, with the addition of what I'm doing, video. So
Yeah.
I get to preview all the properties, which is really great, and then I put together some video so to entice people and get them excited for the tour. That's definitely
That's new.
a change. Yeah. What else? The tastings obviously
Yeah,
are
the
new
tasting.
as well.
And
Yeah.
I think over time, just how Newburyport has grown and become what it is today, there's just people, and then with the help of social media, there's people that come from Boston,
over, yeah.
Oh, I bet.
Maine, New Hampshire. So, there's just, it's become a bigger community event that draws people
Yes.
from far.
Yeah, because building on what you were saying, Dolores, there's going to be a lot of state-of-the-art modern
Oh, my
kitchens with
goodness.
all the newest trends.
Yes. I mean,
So-
you didn't see kitchens with 2 dishwashers and 2 Sub-Zeros and,
No.
all of that. It used to be an appliance package when this started. If you wanted to go buy an appliance package,
Yeah.
it would cost you $2,500, and that was expensive. You
Yeah,
can probably get
yeah.
one at Home Depot for $1,500. You can't get a refrigerator or a dishwasher singular for
Yeah.
that price now. So it's a very different world.
Yeah.
And it's very much reflected in Newburyport, which is really cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
And I bet you get a number of kitchen designers who come on the tour just to get
yeah.
ideas and see
Yeah.
what's popular these days.
Well, I
so
think too, to Rachel's point, the reach of the internet is tremendous.
it's
and
infinite.
there were so many people last year who had never even been to Newburyport. People
Mm.
coming through that were from Concord or Carlisle,
Ah,
not just from Topsfield, but
Yeah.
from afar. And
Yeah.
that's really great because that really builds the brand of the city.
that's right, absolutely. So it's a win-win-win for
It really
everybody,
is, yeah.
including for the parent-teacher organization, because this event is, and has always been, a fundraiser for the PTO. So let's talk about the PTO. We have a co-president and a vice president here, experts on it. So tell us who you are and what you do and what grades you engage with the PTO.
Okay, I'll start and then
Sounds
you can. So the PTO is a group of 20-something parents and teachers from 3 different schools. We serve grades pre-K through 8th grade, so the Bresnahan School, the Mullen School, and the Knox School. And our goal is to bring a sense of community between the schools
Yeah.
and the community and parents and teachers alike. We provide different social events for the students and the parents as well, and we have different fundraisers to pay for programs like school enrichment, science programs, field trip transportation, different things like teacher appreciation.
Teacher proposals, right? So they
Oh.
will want to do a project. There's no funding, so they can apply for a mini, I'll call it a grant, right? From the
The
PTO.
Fair
PTO
enough,
grant.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, that's vital. I mean, in my opinion, there's never enough money for education because it's so critically important to the quality of our lives as individuals, the quality of our communities. So I think it's wonderful what you do and what you're describing, the way these funds will get used are to provide important kind of enrichment for teachers and for students in the schools. And so I think that's really wonderful. I'm curious to find out, because the kitchen tour has been going on for a while, what kinds of things do you hear from people after they've been on the tour?
Yeah, I think most people love to see the community come together,
Yeah.
and seeing friendly faces at all of the homes, and maybe even some teachers from the schools that are there, and let's see, yeah, and just the sense of community that it brings, and
Yeah.
Yeah, I would stress that sense of community. It is huge. I have young children, 10 and almost 7. And for me, we moved to Newburyport in 2019, so not really that long after you. And I didn't really know anything other than how amazing the restaurants were, because we used to live in Salem, Mass, and come here all
Oh,
the
yeah.
time. And that community was really important to me. And I would say the PTO and the kitchen tour. The kitchen tour was the first fundraiser
Oh,
I
yes.
got involved in, and I was thinking, I don't know where I'm going to be in the summer, so I'll help with the website. And then I started with that, and then last year I got more involved and did the food vendors. But it's that sense of community that Kate mentioned. It's also new things that happen, like videos last year. Sorry, I'm like
Yeah.
That's
waving
okay.
your hand.
And we
videos-
changed the date too
Yes,
to
I
May.
meant
Yes.
to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was also trying to figure out. In the summer, sometimes it's hard because everybody's
Yeah.
on vacation.
Yeah.
But also the day before Mother's Day, there's just
Yes.
a whole different group
Yeah.
and vibe, and
right.
another thing that we are doing this year, based on what I know, so please jump in or edit later. Musicians. We're
Oh.
going to have some performances, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe.
Breaking news on the morning show, but maybe tentative, but go
Tentative.
for it,
Yeah,
Kate.
yeah, it's okay. No, we were planning to
please
do
don't
that.
cancel
You're
me.
working on it.
We did reach out to some musicians, and I think we might have one. But we're hoping to have that become more of a thing moving forward.
Well, if people find out now that you're looking for a musician, you may hear from
Exactly.
people.
Your phone will be ringing by noon.
I love it.
You may be fending them off. But that's a great enhancement,
Yeah.
right? And it makes total sense because you're talking about, I guess the word festive comes to my mind as I hear you talk about it. Kind of like a festive community event that's citywide and that draws people in from farther flung places.
Right.
So that sounds wonderful. There's something else I want to ask you, but I think this is a good time for you to say, how can people get information and tickets?
So, do you want to?
So we have signs all throughout Newburyport on different.
I've seen the lawn signs popping up.
Yep, we have banners hung on Atkinson Common, right off the highway, right off 95. We have one down on Low and Graff Road. And then several of our local restaurants are selling tickets for us, so you can ask at the counter, like Jacobsen, New Kitchen.
We sell
You
them.
are.
Yeah.
You sell them
yeah.
too?
We sell them too, yep.
Yeah.
Between 9 and 5, Monday through Friday, you can go to our office. And
At William Ravis,
Yeah, William
near
Ravis.
the
Next
to
tannery.
The tannery.
Yeah,
Yep.
12
Yeah.
Federal Street. We're right next
Yeah.
to the bike shop.
Yes, right, the Riverside Cycle.
But I
Yeah.
would say the best thing that any listener can do is go to our website,
Yes.
which is newburyportkitchentour.com.
Easy to
And I'm
remember.
not saying that.
Oh, did you? Oh, you're allowed.
I know, I just like totally plug. I don't do that for a living, though, so I'm not plugging my business. But it was my volunteer thing.
Okay.
But it does have a section on our sponsors. It has a section on tickets and also on food. So there's a lot of information. There's also one crucial piece that I hope people can go to is how can we help or get involved?
Okay.
We would love community members, businesses to want to collaborate with us. You guys are doing. Anybody who wants to volunteer, so they can fill out a form and we would get in touch with them and give them more information.
Wonderful. And it's an opportunity to be part of something that is
Yes.
festive and serves a really noble cause. So. Now my question, since we have time, I was curious about, okay, you all have seen a lot of kitchens, but I'm wondering, what would your own ideal kitchen look like? Maybe you already have it, but if you already have it, what one or two,
You probably have it too.
what makes it your ideal kitchen?
I will let you guys answer that question.
I'll go. We renovated about 4 years ago, and my husband is the cook, I should say that. So for him, it
Good for
was
him.
important that we had 3 ovens. We have a double
Whoa.
wall oven. It was the only piece of the only thing we kept from the former kitchen when we renovated. But he cooks and likes to entertain, so to have multiple ovens heating up things at
Oh,
the same
goodness.
time was huge for him.
Sure.
So that was what I know for him, the biggest thing.
Yeah, for us, I think I really love a massive island
Mm,
because
mm-hmm.
that's where everybody gathers, and I don't want to sink in it because then I'm doing dishes in front of people. So
Right,
for me,
yeah.
having a big island with lots of stools, and it feels like I'm behind the bar and nobody can cross this line. And this is my space, and y'all can sit over there, and I'll keep feeding you food. You know, so and it has a kind of a different vibe. It's a contemporary kitchen, but it has a little. Could I say steampunk? No, it has little industrial touches. So, so it just feels like it's part of the house and not a separate area.
Yeah, open floor plans are so
Yep.
popular now.
Yes.
People they use on House and Garden TV, they use the phrase sight lines, the open sight lines.
That's right.
So, but I like your idea that you've got a big island where people can sit, but you have your own domain.
Nobody crosses the line.
It sounds like
If they do, they're going to get a knife and sit. Chop that.
fair enough.
Chop me some onions.
Get to work.
Right.
Some kind of some enforcement mechanism is
Yeah.
required.
The knife could go either way.
Anybody else?
I actually want to add something to it. I think Dolores and I would have fun hanging out because you just described my thing. I really do, because for me, I feel like all of you are so much more sophisticated when it comes to this topic. I'm not. I have just different things, but I will say I love cooking. And since I met my husband, we would go to restaurants, and then I would try to replicate a recipe.
Oh.
And I still do that, and I love entertaining and having people over. And for us, it's that island, because we will have people over and we can set the table and do all of that fun, but probably 4 out of 5 hours at my house is going to be everybody else around there.
That's right.
As I'm cooking, and they'll be trying things, and we'll be talking, and then I might make some tweaks based on what they're saying. I feel very calm, but having that kitchen with that kind of layout allows that. So
well, plus it's almost like you have to say, okay, would everyone please sit at the table now? We're having dinner, because nobody
wants to move
Yeah.
to the island.
The table's right there. It's open.
Yeah.
The table's right there. Okay, we're having dinner, and I'll have to go around and, hey, Rach, can you tell everybody we're having dinner?
Well, it is interesting, isn't it? You can have a formal dining room all set up, but people are going to hang out in your kitchen,
Always.
which is why I think big islands have become so popular, because it facilitates people hanging out in the kitchen, but still having the cook's domain.
And I would say I have a before kitchen, because
Oh, you do?
I bought a fixer-upper, and
Still in process.
It's still in process. I do not have an open floor plan. And I do not have a big island, so those are things that I would love. We're going to move our kitchen from one end of the house to the other end of the house eventually, when we have the money. It's a big undertaking, especially to move a kitchen. So I'm looking forward to having storage for all of my stuff. I bake a lot, and so right now all of my stuff is tucked into the Lazy Susan, and it's all on top of each other, and all my cake pans and cake, transportation things, and my cupcake stuff, it's all like
She has everything.
I have everything, because I like to
so cool.
She's a baker.
I like to
Big time.
decorate
Seriously.
cakes and stuff like that. So it's like all crowded into my kitchen, and I just can't wait for the day where everything has its place. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Like the storage,
Yeah.
and I also want like mid-century flat panel walnut colored cabinets.
Well,
in case anyone's asking.
Rachel, I can hear it exists in your mind.
It does.
already.
Yes, very much so.
So it sounds like a very exciting plan.
One day. Yeah.
I think y'all probably know Allison Lehane, right? Do you? Well, she was on the show. This was a number of years ago. I think they're talking about this tour, so it was a while ago. But I remember asking her, why are people so interested in kitchens? What is it? And she said, well, the kitchen is the heart of a home.
That's absolutely right.
And I thought, what a good way to put it. And I think that's why the big islands, the hanging out in the kitchen, the open sight lines, so you can feel connected to everybody, because it is kind of the thrumming heart of the home, being at the service. It's our probably our ancient genes, the watering hole where we all gather,
Around that big fireplace. So the first
Anyway,
curiosity.
so it all sounds wonderful. The one thing I would like in a kitchen someday is a fireplace. Wouldn't that be great?
Yes.
That's the one thing. I don't know if I'll
You
get
have to
it, but
move to a Presbyterian house. That's
yeah, I know it was a huge walk-in fireplace.
We might be selling one soon, but
Okay, I guess I can
Coming
ask.
soon
I
to a
can.
neighborhood near you.
You can keep me
first
posted.
period house.
Yeah, we got one.
Well, y'all have been so much fun to talk to you, and I knew you would be, and it sounds like such a wonderful event. And it's May 11th, the day before Mother's Day, so it's a great event for that. And if you want more information, obviously there are tickets available in lots of places around Newburyport, and you can always go to what's been reported as a really good website.
Fabulous website.
And it's an easy URL to remember, newburyportkitchentour.com.
Yes, thank you.
So thank you all so much. It sounds like a wonderful, festive community event, and I wish you the best of luck with it.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
It's been my pleasure. Well, that's it for today, everybody. Please join us again next Thursday at 9 for the morning show. Till then, be well. Enjoy your kitchen.